everybody? It's your man, Legacy the Prince.
I am CEO AALIYAH.
It's your boy, DJ B4EY.
Yes, sir. It's the Fresh Leftovers Radio Show. And we are back.
Biggie, back. Biggie, back. Hey!
What's up, man? It's the world's most dangerous Christian hip-hop radio show, man. Fresh Leftovers.
You know it.
How about that? Oh, that's my fault. Broadcasting live, my fault.
Oh, y'all missing it.
Broadcasting live from GH3 Radio.
Power by
There
that.
you go. There you go, man. Listen, I'm excited.
Oh.
We're going to get into that later. CEO AALIYAH, how you doing?
You got to pull that mic up a little bit, so please.
Hey, leave me alone. It's my moment.
I never seen him.
All right, when Nicki Minaj get in here, I want you to keep that same energy. Don't do me like that.
I remember I was like that with Angie Rose.
No,
Okay.
I was like that with Angie.
No,
I was
you
too
wasn't.
hyped.
Yes, she was.
What?
Yes, she was.
Man, I talked about
She
that
was?
interview for like a month before she got here. Like, I cannot wait. Bro, we did her interview at midnight just to accommodate her.
Yeah,
So,
we did.
And I love sleep. And y'all know that. I be trying
We
to get
had some
out of
wings,
here.
though. We had to
So-
accommodate you with the wings, though.
Well,
We
no.
had to bribe her. That's crazy, right? We got to bribe her to do her
Lemon pepper.
job.
Extra crispy.
Y'all need to go on. I
Bro,
can't
where we
believe
get the
y'all
wings
not
from
do
that
our
late?
Biggie, because that's how we just set the tone for the show.
I get it, but I was trying to be respectful, of,
time.
of his time and stuff like that. I ain't want to, crank off the biggies like that. This is
But that's how we set the tone. So we'll come in regular.
true.
And then
True. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I'm excited.
I'm excited.
We
You know
know.
what I'm saying? This is
I'm excited.
This is big. You know what I'm
That
saying?
man be excited, man.
That's what I'm saying.
He can. I'm just saying, I literally.
She's trying to take a little bit from
I
you a
just
little bit.
never seen him act like this before over no interview. And they ain't not to nobody.
Ain't not to nobody.
But
I know,
Everybody
come
ain't
on
no T-Dot though, so it's different.
why you telling them?
Let's see if they know what that means. You know what I'm saying? They
But
gonna
yeah,
turn
man,
it up a little
everybody
bit.
ain't this guest. You feel me?
Yeah, seriously.
Different.
So, I mean,
Different.
I just heard DJ just told me off here. I didn't even know this. One song got 16 million streams.
Facts.
That's not everything. One song,
One
16
song.
million?
you saw the bio. You see the bio.
No, that's insane.
That's what I'm saying. I'm excited. DJ, how you been, my brother?
I've been good. Well, y'all know what my situation was.
Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah, man. Our
Last week I
condolences.
got to a car accident. You know what I'm saying?
Did you name your car? So
Did I name
give
my
you
car?
Proper, did you name it?
with a proper burial? It's
Yeah.
not time yet. It's still at the morgue.
That's crazy.
I didn't get the name. I don't know. I didn't choose a name. And then I had to bury my grandmother past weekend too. So
Wow.
yeah,
So
Condolences once again, man.
it was lovely though. It was lovely.
That's
It was
good.
definitely lovely. But outside of that, I'm good, man.
That's
You know,
good.
Just think about it every day.
It's
I
good.
miss
That's good.
grandma.
Yeah.
It's good, man. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time. Heal. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You don't get a
For
new
sure.
car though. Like,
Man, DJ already got that lined up.
I ain't gonna lie. Shout out to my homie Cyrus. I'm sorry.
I told you.
I'm sorry. Shout out to him because I hit him with the text like, listen, man, such and such happened. I sent the pictures and I got to an accident. Blah, 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 blah. He was like, yeah, I got like 3 of them right here.
But
three of the ones you want?
yeah.
Same type you wanted?
Yes, newer.
Oh, wow.
But you know what's so crazy? Let me show you. Talk about how strategic the devil is, because you was just.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's the crazy part.
Did you tell her?
Yeah, she kept texting me. She was like, bro, he literally just compared what we was talking to a car accident.
That's the crazy part. This is like the second time something like
So
that.
now I
happened
got
to
like,
me.
okay, you saying this. Show her. Show them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
speak what you were saying.
Yeah. So now I gotta have that trust and faith in him.
My God.
That's what you got
It's
to
like
do,
I
brother.
was like, man, I said, man, I might stop talking to people.
You know what? You know
I'm going to
that's
stop ministering.
something that God is teaching me in this season right now, and like even just seeing what you're going through right now and seeing how you acting is peace and joy cannot be situational.
Nah.
It cannot.
Nah.
Peace and joy has nothing to do with situations. So Minister Mike always teach us like, you don't want to be happy, you want to have joy. Because happiness is based on your happenings, meaning what's around you, while joy comes from the Lord. And to see people like you and Ira and Legacy, like, y'all could be going through the craziest stuff.
You'll never know.
I walk in here, y'all gonna see it. I don't care. I ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? I ain't there yet.
It's
Peace
okay.
still situational sometimes for me. I'm getting better at it. But
Yeah.
I see like DJ, Legacy, Ira, y'all come up in here, and it don't matter what y'all going through. Y'all got joy. Y'all got peace. And it's so inspiring to see that.
Because everything, that stuff is temporary. And like, for instance, my grandmother, I think I told Selena this, but I've had dreams about her like passing.
Like a
eventually.
warning.
Yeah. So, I knew that it was coming sooner than later. But when I went at the funeral, it was a lot of people who got up there and talked about like when she was younger and meeting her on the bus and how she was ministering to people. I did not know she was out there going crazy like that.
Wow.
Just ministering about God. We good.
Okay, cool. That's the beauty about it, man. Enjoy the Lord as a strength. You know
Facts.
what I'm saying? It has to be.
And then trust. I mean, what else you gonna do? Like at this point, it's like, hey, man, I can't do nothing else but drive this rental car.
Facts.
Right, that's the white one outside?
Yeah, the big John.
That's nice. You like that?
Nah.
That's crazy. It's so nice.
My pilot was better.
He gonna talk about all the bells and whistles.
My pilot.
And I had a sunroof that goes all the way
How
back.
you doing this week, Legacy?
Legacy doing all right, man. I'm doing good. I've been going to therapy for the last 3 months.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? So
I'm glad somebody's face is not your therapy anymore. That's
you
good.
said who?
I'm glad somebody's face is not your therapy
I mean,
anymore.
it's the ex-boxer in me, man.
Oh, bro, I thought you said who he is.
Nah, I didn't hit nobody. But yeah, man, therapy's been great. I'm learning to unpack a lot and also collide it with hearing the voice of God. So it's just like, it's a beautiful feeling to be in. It's a great space to be in. So I'm learning a lot, man. And it's just the application of it.
Yeah.
You know? And then knowing that every level you get to, like, it's the devil's assignment to try you in all areas. So it's just like after a while, you just, man, all right. You know what I'm saying? And you just rock with it. Like, because you got the authority over him, you know? So, I mean, great, man. I'm excited about the future for us because there's a lot of great stuff happening on the horizon.
Amen.
And it's the things that you pray about when it starts happening and it falls into place. It's just like I sat here today, just setting up and just helping out some stuff. And I sat in here today and I was like, God, what are you doing? Like, it don't even make sense and it feels so unreal. Yeah. You know?
Because like now it feels unreal a little
like
bit.
you, in the beginning, you're speaking from a place of just like, man, of faith, and it's just like, yeah, man, one day. But then when it starts like aligning, it's like, yo, what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What?
Man. But listen, we could talk all day, man. We gotta.
I'm doing good. Yeah.
We asked you already. You the first one. We always ask.
I ain't even talk about me. We talk
How
about
are you?
I'm doing good though.
We didn't ask her?
No.
Oh, dang. Sis, what's up?
Because you were so excited, so I just, you know what I'm saying?
Just let me have it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I got you. How you doing, sis?
Well, I'm doing really good.
The marriage is good too.
I am, huh?
Nothing.
Okay. So I'm super excited though, for real. I have 4 songs that's dropping in the next 4.5 weeks with some very dope artists.
Who, sis? You can name names, that's fine.
Yeah, I can name names. Yeah. So it's gonna be Queen Lee times Big Rissa.
Oh, you find? Oh,
Okay. Take that. Okay. Oh! That's what's
We're
up.
gonna get Queen time. All right, let's go.
Yo, you need us like on an intro for your album or anything?
Oh, I'll just let y'all know.
All right, cool.
What?
Oh, man.
I have my people.
I'm out, man.
We are the people, ain't
Yeah.
we?
Hey.
Y'all
you say?
are people.
You really believe that,
I was
Lexi?
about to lean back and come back in and be like, people, people too. People,
Nah, people.
We gotta register your music. So
yeah. Listen, I told somebody this week, I said, they was asking me, they was like, so do you register on this and then you do this? I said, hey.
Call them.
I don't do a thing. I wouldn't know.
I just go in the studio and come out.
Listen.
That's it. But that's the whole purpose, you know? All right.
Now you made me move
You
on.
ready?
All hearts clear?
All hearts and minds.
All right, cool. We checking in with everybody.
Yeah.
CVMA? Selena, you all right?
She got water. The spirit of the Lord. The holy drink.
I'm good. I'm doing really, really good, y'all. Can't complain.
Cool. Listen! I'm super excited about our guest today, man. A huge inspiration for us young Christian hip-hop enthusiasts when we was coming up. Man, I just want to jump right into it, man. Rapper.
You gonna read it?
Super public speaker, podcast host, one of the founding members of Reach Records 116 movement. Everybody know the 116 movement, man. And if you know the 116 movement, you know our special guest, Tedashii, man. We got Tedashii. We got the big homie Tedashii in the building. Now listen, Aaliyah said
she a little young. She don't know.
She don't understand.
I am.
She
little young.
But I'm not. not naive to know it's a legend in the building, but
It's a
I
legend.
am
I
young.
believe that.
Now listen, Tedashii, I got to tell you this.
Yeah.
My group chat is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because we had a moment because before I got into radio, I was pursuing music.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But God called me to radio,
Gotcha.
of course.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, right? This is the crazy thing. My very first song that we did a remix to was Dum Dum.
Really?
I promise you.
Y'all did a remix to it?
We did a remix to Dum Dum.
We did a remix competition. Did you send that in?
I wasn't
you
in
wasn't
that
in
whole
that.
wave.
He ain't had
Gotcha,
internet.
gotcha.
So I came in on the tail end.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
All right,
But
all right.
when I heard the beat, I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
snap, man. And then I got into the Lecrae's.
Yep.
And then I ran into, I was like, Tedashii, who's this?
Yeah.
Then went into the wormhole of who you was.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, just listening to all your music. I was like, man, this dude is tough.
Thank you,
And
man.
then just started going in from there. Jumped into the Ambassadors of the World.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
Flames
sir.
of the World.
Yeah, bro.
Tripoli's. Then I'm from New York, so I like lyrics, like
Yeah.
deep hardcore, you know. So then I got into Fanatic.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
like a
If
wormhole
you a
from there.
purist, that's your dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then I landed on Truth. And then it
Yeah.
just blew up from there,
Yeah,
man.
that's dope.
T-Dot's in the building, y'all. I'm super excited, man. I'm glad we're going today. How you doing, man?
I'm well. I'm doing good, man. I'm overcoming some. I didn't realize tooth pain could be such a heavy burden.
Oh my God.
Man, look, I didn't know. Nobody warned me,
I
bro.
heard somebody say tooth pain is worse than getting surgery.
Listen, it
Been
has to
getting
be.
what?
Surgery.
It
I've
has
heard
to be.
that.
I feel your pain.
I had no clue. So I learned this week that I grind my teeth when I sleep. And from that, I ended up like spraining my jaw muscle. It's weird. I
So you
never heard
probably
of
doing
this.
it for a super long time.
Yeah, and clearly, yes. And I had
do you
no
have to
clue.
wear a mouth guard now?
I just got one made, so I got to do that. But like, it was crazy.
Really?
Like, pain everywhere. So I'm with you guys by the grace of God and the
Hey.
blessedness of Motrin.
Yeah.
So, I'm in here, bro. I'm in here. But I'm doing. Other than that, man, I'm doing well. Family's good. I'm good. New music coming. Like, I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had that
excited,
tooth pain
man.
before not too long ago. I had to get it
bro.
pulled.
See, you know.
I was crying. I wasn't crying, but I was
Yeah.
I had to
On the
drive
inside,
myself.
you was crying, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause it felt, I don't know how to explain it.
I don't know how to tell people how painful it is. Like, I don't know. I mean, I played ball. I played football in high school and college. I had an injury. I got back pain, all this stuff. But this took the cake. I was like, yo, man,
crazy.
They
I don't want to move.
It was one tooth up here, hurting down here in the front. Don't know how, bro. Yes,
Listen,
I
the
got it pulled out
dentist
the
is
next
your friend.
day.
The dentist is your friend. Go see them. Everybody's scared of them, I guess. I don't
6
know.
months, every 6 months.
Listen, every 6 months, bro, I'm going.
Yes,
That's
Dang,
crazy,
I feel
man.
bad.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Listen,
trying to tell you.
the bio's so crazy. The testimony's so crazy.
Facts.
Like, there's so much that you've accomplished. There's so much that you play such a big part in CHH.
Thank you, man.
With the
Yeah.
with the climate of the culture being what it is today. Like, and us, of course, celebrating 50 years of hip hop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What does that mean to you?
So first and foremost, the climate within Christian hip hop itself is something that's exciting to me, if I'm honest. I was telling somebody the other day, man, when I look at the landscape of Christian hip hop, there are so many people rapping and doing music on behalf of God now. And the beauty of it is they're doing so out of the truth of who they are, not trying to fit the mold of what somebody said had to be done.
Yeah.
Right.
They're authentically testifying of who they are and what they've been through in the music.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I think really do impact people's lives when you're talking about genuine issues, stories, personal things that you go through, and you're able to tie in your faith, your testimony, what God has done in and through, around and about your story and your journey. And to see so many people across the board, like you got cats that's coming in now, 15, 16, doing it, all the way up to old heads like me and Cray. And it's still like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this is a great landscape. Before, it was like, there were young dudes and then there was old dudes, and it's like you can't really get down unless you with the old dudes.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can do anything where you are without any sort of connectedness to anybody else but it all still fits within the same landscape. It's beautiful to me to see so many people doing it, especially when I came up in a time where it was frowned on. Like I was getting kicked out of churches. I wasn't allowed to stand in certain places. Like it was a legit wrestle to try to get people to accept what we were doing. So to see it now, not necessarily as widely accepted as it could be, but to see it now make headway like it has is beautiful to me, bro. So in light of that, when you think about 50 years of hip hop and you think about how far back Christian hip hop goes within that story, it's almost like God's always gonna have his people in the mix. It's always gonna be evident to us that we are here for a purpose beyond ourselves. So that's beautiful to me.
So with that being said, what do you think God's point is right now? Like, what do you think God's view of why he's allowing CHH to reach the peak that it's at right now? From the young people to the older people. Like, why do you think he's allowing us in the churches to, do what, the older generation wouldn't have allowed and all those things? Like, what do you think his point is?
So one of my favorite Psalms that I read before I go on stage, when I'm going to bed, like whatever it is, like if I'm just in a moment of meditation, it's Psalm 145. And it talks about how God will have one generation tell to the next of his goodness, of his good deeds, of his good works. There is, to me, this legacy moment happening within Christian hip hop where you have a broad range of artists from all walks of life being able to testify to the same God in different ways, or of the same God in different ways. And I think that in and of itself is what God is saying. There is this broad-based, very potent movement and message coming forth out of this group of people, and it's something that has to be paid attention to.
Right.
What I think the beauty of digital platforms, streaming, like social media, I think all of that has given way for people to be able to push music in their own right, in their own sphere. And when you look up and you like, oh, they're doing stuff out in Southern California. Wait, it's a dude over in Kansas City doing this thing. Wait, it's people out in Florida. Wait, they up in Philly. Wait, they in Atlanta. It's like, yo, it's everywhere. And it's more visible. And so I just think that visible representation is something God is making clear to the world. And we get to see from our vantage point, I don't have to go be exactly like you guys in mainstream to be something of significance in this music game. I can still do that in and of myself for what I do and who I am.
So I got a question. And can you take me back a little bit? I don't know the introduction for you coming into the, your music and Christian hip hop.
Yeah.
Can you tell me like what inspired you?
Yeah.
I want to know.
So when I first became a Christian, I was a freshman in college.
Okay.
And I used to freestyle in high school. And really my thing was like, if you can freestyle, then you get the crowd, you get the attention, you get the respect. In some cases, you get the opportunity to talk to a young lady. So it's like, okay, I'm a freestyle. I'm just going to go out here and try to freestyle. But moving past that, after becoming a Christian, the guy who led me to the Lord was like, man, you always freestyling. Why don't you write some of that down and like talk about Jesus? And I laughed so hard. I was like, you crazy, bruh. And my statement to him was like, you can't get a girlfriend rapping about Jesus.
Wow.
I ain't finna do that. Like, you crazy. But he convinced me to do it, and I entered a talent show with him, and I rapped a song, a Christian hip-hop song. And at the time, like, nobody was really aware of what this was. They was like, yo, you basically took this thing and ruined it, is how they felt. Like, they was mad at me for rapping about God at all, because they was like, hip-hop is for, like, you know, partying and fun and fights and drugs, and, man, you out here ruining it. We're talking about God. You blowing my hot, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So fast forward a couple of weeks on campus, a lot of the football players I play with started coming to me like Nicodemus in the middle of the night, like, yo, man, I'm going through something. Can we talk? And I'm like, why are y'all wanting to talk to me? I don't understand. And they like, man, you got on stage and rapped about God. Like, you must believe.
Right.
Like, you serious with this? And I was like, oh, I am. And so what I learned from that moment was I was able to bring distinction to myself and the artistry that I could create because of being true to who I was.
Yeah.
And so through that distinction, it gave me opportunity to talk to more people. So I just leaned into that. I was like, man, I'm going to be distinctly myself in everything that God has asked me to do, created me to be, and I'm going to walk in that. And if God sees fit to open the door to talk to more people, I'll do that. And so that's kind of how I jumped in and started doing it. And then fast forward years later, I linked up with Cray in Dallas, and we started doing music. We was roommates for a while, started making beats. And then eventually we met Trip, and we knew Sho Baraka, so we just started doing stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
That's crazy. Our producer, Ira, he's not here today, but he told me one time, he was telling me about a story how he met you.
Yeah.
He was like, I think you, Sho Baraka, Cray, Trip, everybody came to like Foot Lockers or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he was working there at the time. He was just like, hey, man, that looked like Triple E. And then I think you were standing in front of him about to check out.
Yeah.
And he was like, you was just like, yeah, and the guy next to him looked like Sho Baraka too, right? He was like, yeah. And then he was like, that looked like Lecrae too, don't it? He was like, actually. And he was like, I look like Tedashii, don't I? He was like, and then the light bulb, he said the light bulb went off like, yo, all the 116 like, that's crazy.
I actually remember that.
Really?
Yes, I actually remember that.
What?
I remember, because I didn't live in Atlanta for a long time, so coming to Atlanta always stood out. It was, the mecca for hip hop. So I just was like, every time we come to the A, we excited to be here. But I remember talking to a dude like that for real I remember saying that looked like Sho Baraka. I remember that for real.
That's crazy. Too bad.
That's so crazy, man. Yeah. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. So coming through the 116 movement, right?
Yeah.
Like, how are you all able to keep yourselves motivated, not knowing or having a scale to say like, hey, it's eventually gonna be like this? Like, how do you keep yourself motivated?
Yeah.
It's like getting kicked out everywhere, going through the hardship, going through this, and it's just like CHH is something that you guys pretty much birth.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, how is this really going to stand against the test of times, especially with hip hop being what it was? The Jay-Z's was popping off, and how do you keep yourself motivated in those times?
That's a great question, man. So when me and Cray first started doing music and we was working on stuff, our desire was to say, I think Christians need to have music that rocks and hits just as hard as what you hear on the radio.
Yeah.
Because I'm not hearing that. And so that was our desire, to be that intentional, to be that not just relevant, but that good. Like, we wanted to be quality. And then me, where I grew up, I'm sure Cray would relate to this too, but where I grew up, I had a bunch of cousins in Houston who was rapping, who was trying to rap, who was being in the scene. And I was like, I want them to hear this and be like, yo, this hard. Like, I don't want them to ever listen to this and be like, hey, this whack, man, but you my cousin, I guess I'll listen. I ain't want that. Yeah. So I was like, I gotta come correct. I gotta come with it. And first starting out, it's very much so I'm trying to get my message across. And then eventually it was like, man, you can do that while creating quality music. And so once we started learning how to do both, people started to listen a little more. And that really became my goal. I like, hip hop started in New York. It started in the hood. It started with people given an opportunity of escape. And then through the escape came explanations. People opened the door through escapes of break beats and dancing and partying and getting away on the weekends. And then from that, there would be moments where they would stop and explain, like, yo, we got to find something that's good for us. We got to, like, encourage one another. So that's always been my motto for hip hop. It's always been a language and an avenue or a vehicle to be able to express what I think, what I believe, what I feel. So the more I started to understand that, I started to do it in the music and in between the songs at shows. And I feel like that's what kept me motivated, was like, man, this is a way for me to be able to share what I know to be true and do it in a way that relates to a people group, but also to a demographic that understands the language that I'm using. Like, they get it. They gonna hear this music, hear the way we rapping, and be like, yo, I rock with that. And then pay attention.
So speaking of the people that understand that language, I want to talk about the people that don't.
Right.
So even though I'm new to Christian hip hop, as an artist, it's a lot of people. Like I got a song that just went viral, like 1 million.
Let's go. Congrats.
1 million people on Instagram, like 1 million views and all this type of stuff. And it's a lot of people saying that I'm mocking God because I'm freestyling over like a secular beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, how have you dealt with the people who look at us like that instead of looking at us like we are literally using our gifts that God has given us to glorify Him?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, congratulations. That's phenomenal. Yeah. Especially to see young women, young black women moving and doing stuff like that. That's beautiful. God is glorified in that. I've learned there's two different things that come to mind with your question. First and foremost, I'm not going to be able to check the box everyone has for me. Everyone, once you get in a public eye, get in a public space, they're going to have a perception of what is good and what is wrong, what is bad. And you can't allow yourself to be dictated or controlled by their perception, expectation, the box they want you to check. Furthermore, if you're living in the purpose you've been given, then it's God who's going to endorse and open the door.
Right.
Like, I never want to say because I got enough money to buy a new car, well, God must bless me more or love me more. Like, that's not how our Father in heaven is.
Right.
So I'm not going to say, well, your song went viral, so clearly God is doing something and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not going to do that to shame them. Like, you just don't get it. Like, I'm not going to shame them with your success. What I will do though, is ask people to look at the fruit. Like, check the fruit. Look at what I'm doing with what I'm doing. Well, look at what I'm doing with what's been given to me. Versus just looking at what I'm doing. Like, oh, yeah. You see what's happening with the music, but you heard the beat, so now you're judging me. But look at what I'm doing with what I have. Right. But then I'm also of the mindset, and this is controversial for some people, but I'm of the mindset that if an individual, every person in the world was created in the image of God. If a person is exemplifying what God has put in them through their creativity, and that happens to be used for a song that's mainstream, I don't think God is all of a sudden their enemy because they went mainstream. I think God still sees that as an image bearer who He's patient with, who He loves and says, I'm patient with you. First Peter talks about God having patience with us, that He's patient towards us because He would that none of us would perish. Right. So there's this lack of patience that we have with other individuals because we tend to want to just speak to the bad in the moment. And then that becomes dangerous because who gets to define bad? Now you're speaking for God and what you're calling bad, but they just use what God blessed them to be able to do to be able to create that. So if anything, you are redeeming the very thing that they want to call bad. And so I think it's a limited perspective. So that's why I'm like, you can't live by everybody's boxes. You just got to go for what you know in your own purpose.
That's so good.
Whew, that was tough. I like that.
A whole bomb.
And kind of answer our question about what we was going to talk about with the whole like Chandler Moore thing. With him saying like now he want to go, different route or whatever. So that's actually a really good perspective.
That's tough. That's tough.
Wait, I hadn't heard this. What happened?
So Chandler Moore is saying that he kind of want to go like more inspirational now instead of just like gospel. So he was talking about I want to say I think Ephesians, where God talks more about is it marriage and intimacy and stuff like that. He was saying how he was like the whole book of Ephesians is about love and marriage and the intimacy of it. He was like, I want to talk more about that and not necessarily have to say God or Jesus or the Holy Spirit, but just talk about the intimacy of relationship. And so a lot of Christians are down his throat about it. So we it was supposed to be a topic. I don't know if we didn't dive into it.
No, we didn't dive into it yet.
We didn't get to, but now I have that perspective and it kind of shifts.
That makes a lot of sense.
So, I don't know.
Because even like Lecrae got a lot of
he got that
cross tracks or cross music. I would say where it's all it's he's collabing with a lot of
secular artists.
Yeah. So there is this. Oh man, this is good. There's so much to say about it, but so let me give you this perspective. When you look at Jesus, walking with his disciples. Is that all right? We go there? We talk scripture?
That's
Okay.
what this show is about.
Okay, bet.
Please.
So when you look at Jesus talking with his disciples, he's walking with them and he says to them, who do men say that I am? And some of them say, well, you're Elijah, you're John the Baptist, you're Elijah, you're one of the prophets. And so the beauty of that is they're saying who Jesus is to the people. Right. To the people. This is who Jesus is to them. And honestly, they're not being negative toward him. They're like, they're not like, he a demon, he a demon. He just said, they ain't say none of that. They like, he like John the Baptist. Right. John the Baptist was a G, like Facts. Lived in the woods and was like holding it down for the Lord. Like this is not a slouch. So they like, this is John the Baptist. He's back. Well, this is Elijah. Well, Elijah in the Jewish culture is a hero. Yeah. It's like, you're giving him accolades, but just because you're giving him accolades doesn't mean that it's good if you're not giving accolades based on who they really are. And so what I found a lot of times is people want to dictate how you give Jesus accolades. And I say it has to be done how he says it. Peter says, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus says to Peter, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail. Peter gives this confession, and Jesus says, your confession is so real, so true, that the very foundation of what my church will be on this earth will be based on that confession. Exactly. So as long as that's your confession, I think you're okay with Jesus. Now, here's the other side of it. He says the gates of hell will not prevail. The gates of hell in Israel was a literal place. It was a temple on a mountainside where people would go and worship false gods and Aphrodite, and there would be all kind of rituals to false gods. And they called that the gates of hell because people in that area was like, that's where the evil really is. That's dark over there. The gates of hell won't prevail, Jesus said. The confusion we've gotten in our culture is, in order to not let the gates prevail, we got to stay away from them. But gates don't move. They don't attack us. The reason they won't prevail or stand or withstand is because we attack them and God helps us to tear them down. We stay in our bubbles too much. We need to be actually attacking the gates of hell. So when I hear a brother saying like, man, I want to go out here and talk about something different to reach a different group of people, because it's different than what you know them as, it's easy to just qualify them as somebody who's now
selling out or something.
Oh, you selling out, man. We're going to write you off now. Right. But in actuality, I'm like, nah, I feel like God was with him before. Why can't he still be with him now? And if he is still with him, then maybe he's going to storm the gates in a different way and take care of a different angle that God ain't called you to. I'm not quick to write people off because they choose to augment how they do their music. I'm more so saying, what's your confession? If that remains your confession, go storm the gates, bro. Do what you got to do. So, I don't know. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's crazy because I know there's a lot of different preachers. And I always tell people, I had a friend of mine that always wanted to be at the pulpit. And I told him, I said, you don't have to be limited by being on this stage in this pulpit. Like, you can go out and talk to the people out in the streets. You don't have to necessarily be a street preacher or whatever, but there's many of places that we can go and should go that you should go. Don't stay here, because once you have your congregation, and there's no disrespect, and people do come in and join churches, and I understand that, but that's where you are. That's your bubble in a sense. I'm not, that's where I also see it says some will reach tens, hundreds, thousands, and so forth and so on. So I'm on 100% with that. Some people, I don't believe that everything as an artist has to be like Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Because the moment you start doing, remember the situation with CHH when he went out to that
oh yeah.
We went out to that club.
He went out to that club.
Secular place and was promoting Jesus like that.
So one of the things he said was, like, I'm a Christian, da 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 da, and then he let his music play, 30-second intro,
and they started throwing poop emojis at him. Like,
it went viral.
It's like stuffed animal. Like,
and I had a conversation with him. I said, I said a lot of times you go into those places, bro, boy, like you don't have to say just introduce. Like you don't have to do that because it's a lot of times when Jesus went in, he ain't go out. It's like I'm the Messiah. Just want to let y'all know I'm that guy who came in. So if your fruit, which is the word the words you're saying, is has him embedded in it, then they're gonna plant seeds or they're gonna receive it.
So to your point, he never really said it. Even after Peter's confession, he told them, "Tell no one."
Right.
Like he literally said that to them because the focus needed to be on God's kingdom, not just him.
Yeah.
Right.
And so even though he is our way of redemption and savior, there's still this idea where we get to go and talk about God's kingdom. You either get to talk, in my humble opinion, you either talk about the light or what the light illuminates. Both still glorify the light.
Yeah.
If you talk about how bright the light is and what it's able to show you, it's still giving praise to the light itself. It's still honoring the light itself.
Right.
Or if you just talk about how beautiful the light is, it's still honoring that. So I'm not telling someone to hide their faith, but I am telling them it's okay to be free within or liberal within how you go about expressing your faith.
Yes.
And I feel like we have in a culture that's way more about qualitative engagement, we've kind of created this standard where we have to be very clear cut on being able to clarify who you are and whose you are and what you're about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think you have to do it as dogmatic as they say.
Right.
I think your stance needs to be that.
Facts.
But the exemplification, or that's not a word, the way you exemplify your stance is definitely, I think, given to you with a sense of freedom.
Absolutely.
For you to be able to go do so.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And he received it well, and I told him, just work on that, and then afterwards,
Yeah.
see how that works out for you.
No, that's real.
So I want to switch gears a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
what's
Because I
up?
know you had a very, very traumatic experience.
Oh, yeah, bro. Oh, it was crazy.
I want you to dive into that. Dive into that a little bit for us.
You
I know
talking about last year
with the
backstage?
we can talk about that too. I was just like, yeah.
I've had a lot of those.
But I know.
Death.
Yeah, there was a near-death experience that in the bio was telling they got sent to us. I think he was in a car accident or something like that, or
Oh, yeah. What's it called?
okay.
So I was I've gone through a lot in life, and there's been this reality where through the highs and lows, first this makes me think too. I meant to say this earlier. I commend you for being in therapy, for going to therapy.
Yes, sir.
I genuinely do. I commend you for that. I mean, there is a need to see more people of color going to therapy.
Yes.
Specifically men in general, because we often are not given permission to emote. And then because we don't have permission to emote, we lack the language to express our emotions. And so through that, therapy gave me the opportunity to not only experience how to emote and move through my different emotions I was feeling in a healthy way, but it gave me the language to be able to say them and communicate that to other people around me. So I could literally stop and just be like, hold on. Feeling a little upset right now. Let me take a beat. Versus not having the language to say it and only having the physical way to manifest it and communicate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I commend you. That's beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Therapy helped me to walk through a lot of different things. So I would say loss is one of the biggest things that I've gone through in my life. I lost my stepmother. That was kind of the first biggest loss that I knew of in my life. And then after that, I lost one of my sisters. She was 31, and she passed away. And then I lost my baby sister to stomach cancer, and she passed away with 3 kids and a husband, and she had just turned 30, I think. So it's like all this stuff is happening in my world. And then on top of that, my wife and I, we lost our 1-year-old son, Chase.
Yeah.
Chase passes away, and it's one thing to lose like a parent figure, a parental figure. It's like, okay, yeah, I get that. That does happen in life, sure. So DJ, like you with the loss of your grandmother, my condolences. Like, man, there's a reality where loss of anything creates this new normal you got to exist in.
Yeah.
And but depending on the type of loss, you kind of go, well, but you know, this is a part of life. Like, we just gonna move forward. But then when losing my sisters, it's like, man, that's weird. Like, I'm the oldest. Like, this is not the way this should go. And then losing my son, it was like, man, I don't know how to function right now. Like, I don't know how to keep myself from wanting to break the world around me because I'm so broken. Yeah. And the way that I wanted to cope was to bring pain to everybody else so they could feel my pain. Yeah. And so I had 2 near-death experiences in that season. Both of those attempted suicides. One, my son actually interrupted when I was at home. Mm-hmm. My son came downstairs and interrupted one, and then the other one, I had. You tend to cope with what you know. Yeah. So there's a book I read that I tell everybody to read. Not a religious book at all, but I tell everybody to read this book. It's called, the book is called, man, I just lost it for a moment, but I'm going to get it back. Anyway, the book is called What Happened to You. Yeah. Have you ever heard this book? Have you ever heard this book? Yeah, I know, right? It's quick. But I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get it back. But the book is called What Happened to You. It's written by a neuropsychologist named Dr. Bruce Perry, and he wrote the book in partnership with Oprah. And I know when I say her name, people have mixed emotions around this individual.
Shout out to Auntie
but
I feel like wisdom is wisdom.
But listen, yes,
exactly.
yes.
It don't
So
matter.
my phrase at my house with me and my wife is, all truth is God's truth. Like, if it's true, then it came from a place of truth. But Oprah's story, I read this book, and the book is about her story and stories like hers. And the audiobook is what I listen to. So after every chapter, you hear Q&A, not Q&A, you hear dialogue between Oprah and this doctor. And it was so powerful. The book changed my life because I felt seen. Like, I really felt seen. I was like, Oprah and I have such a similar story, and I just wanted to hug her and tell her thank you for being vulnerable enough, open enough to share her story. So through all of that, like, I mentioned the book because the book teaches about this idea of the different parts of your brain. You have a part of your brain called the reptilian part of your brain. That is the part of your brain you revert to when you go through moments of stress and anxiety. So if you're in a moment where you're stressed, you go back to old therapy ways, and it's like, well, I need a face to punch because this is what I know. Yeah. And this feels comfortable to me. This feels familiar to me.
Yeah, my friend calls it the default setting.
It is a default setting.
Yeah.
And so the reptilian part of your brain is your default setting. It is the base level. It's called reptilian because it's almost like you go to this primal base level idea of yourself. And at that base level, primal level of yourself, you tend to revert back to the things you saw as a child, what you saw around you and deemed good in your own mentality. So for some people that's fighting, for some people that's running away, for some people that's drinking, for some people it's drugs. It just depends, but you go to that. And in that moment when you're stuck in that part of your brain, you do not have access to your frontal lobe where you're able to formulate cognitive reasoning. So it's not that you don't want to do it, you cannot access that until you're able to regulate your body and your mind again. And in those moments where you're dysregulated, unless you find a way to self-regulate, you do not move from there. So because we're in a constant state of dysregulation, you cope. You find coping mechanisms to make yourself feel better. So my coping mechanisms when I lost my son ended up being all the base level primal things that I saw growing up. So I was escaping, going out, smoking hookah, I'm getting high, I'm drinking, I'm doing everything that I know it's not who I want to be, but it's really who I am at my primal level, all to try to cope and numb the pain. Because right now, like losing $10, it's like I'm gonna be mad, but I know I can get that back.
Right.
Yeah.
Losing my son, I'm gonna be mad, but I'm not getting him back.
Right.
Not until glory. And who do I get mad at about that? And for me, it ended up being God who I was mad at the most. So it's like, not only am I living at this primal level of myself, but I'm also rejecting God and his grace and his provision and his help and his mercy because I'm mad at him. So it's like I'm cutting off myself from the source and I'm stuck in this place. And so I'm doing all of these dark and twisted things that I believe are helpful because I'm stuck in that place. And so at one point I was gone out of my mind. And I was like, I just want to end it all. I quit. And so I just let go of the wheel and closed my eyes and on the freeway or on the highway and in Texas. And the highway could be 2 lanes. But it was like I started riding and it just veered off and I hit the ditch. And I was like, and like one car slowed down, another car went around me. But I was like, man, I just want to end it all. I don't care no more about myself. And that was the moment when I hit the ditch that I had to make a phone call. A friend came and got me, and it was like, man, I don't know what else to do now because I don't want to be myself. I don't want to live. I don't want to live in this new normal. But being dysregulated, that looked like something smart to do because I didn't know how to cope with this. Went to therapy, was able to get regulated, was able to start to understand what I was dealing with, why I was reverting to all of that stuff. Found language for what I was feeling, started connecting with people through that language to tell them where I was, and I saw God start to pull me out of that. And so all of the music that I'm making now is communicating about that angst and that feeling of where I was.
How was your wife dealing in that process?
Candidly, it was hell for her. Like it was hardship upon hardship because you're in this life with a person that you're partnering with to say we're gonna be together in all of this, but I didn't know how to live in this new normal and be who I said I was gonna be. You know, at first I was like Martha, like, oh man, Lazarus is gone, but I'm finna be here cleaning up and serving plates and I'm making sure everybody good. You good, mom? You good, man? I'm praying for you. You good, man? I'm good, man. I'm good. And 6 months in, it was like, I ain't got no more left. I don't know what else to turn to now. And I quickly turned into the person who was like, you know what? I quit. I quit. And when anybody goes through something traumatic, especially loss, you tend to either become the moralist or you become the cynic. The moralist says, man, if I'd have just prayed more, if I'd have just read more, if I'd have just went to church more, if I'd have just been more faithful, God, you wouldn't have let this happen. And you start to blame yourself. Or the cynic says, you know what, God, you hate us. You just don't love us. That's what it is. Like, I'm cynical towards you now because I know you really don't care about us. So, you know what? Forget you. Like, I'm done. And in reality, both of those places we go to are really our own human attempts, our feeble human attempts to control a holy God. Because when I become the moralist, I'm like, God, you got to feel sorry for me. When I become the cynic, I'm like, God, you got to see my anger and bow down to that. Like in both situations, I'm trying to control God because I really want to fix this in my own way of fixing it. And God had to honestly humble me. And then through love and grace, bring me to a place of healing. I learned through this moment, God's chastisement and pruning doesn't look like mama whooping you. It don't always look like that. It really did look like a hug. It really did look like God saying, hey, I'm not done with you. I'm not done with you. And so pulling me in, bringing me closer, letting me know that I have value and worth, that I'm loved, that I'm significant, that I matter. Not because of all the stuff that I've been able to do, but because of just who I am in him. And that truth alone gives everything else meaning, not the other way around.
Right.
So I'm sorry, real quick. Have you spoken out about this?
Yes. Yeah, I started speaking about it a lot in the last 2 or 3 years.
And the reason why I was asking, because I think it's so important that, especially after the, getting through the process, that we see it. Because as I'm listening, I'm like, man, how he feeling like that? How he going hookah? I'm just thinking about the kind of things that like people like, I would never think that you would do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's
and I think it's the importance of it to hear, because we try to be so perfect, especially Christians, and we forget that part. And that's why I was asked. That's the reason why I asked pretty much. Now,
when I speak to people about this or about anything really, I speak out of passion now. It's not authority only. It's not like I mean, there is an authority to it because I believe God is allowing me to say it, but it's more passion. It's more compassion because I recognize where I came from. And yeah, I'm bold to talk about it because I'm like, the verse people talk about all the time, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Yep.
The word testimony there is the word in the Greek, the word martyr, which is where we get our word martyr.
Yep.
Martyr for me is not about, I died for Jesus. It's more about willingness to live in a way that I'm dying to self.
Yeah.
So I'm like, nah, I have nothing to hide. Like, and honestly, there's nothing I'm telling you that the people who are in my life that are truly my circle, like my accountability, my brothers, like they don't know. They know I don't have no secrets. They know everything. So it's like, I don't have a problem telling people what I went through. And I don't find it as, I don't say it in a way of glorifying it or making excuse for it, but I am wanting to be honest about it so people recognize it's a human problem, not a God problem. Yeah, or not a like, well, if I was just a little more whatever, then I wouldn't be dealing with that. It's like, nah, we all prone to fall into these moments.
Yeah, any given moment.
And I remember talking to my therapist. One of the things that he was telling me, because we get so caught up in this Christian bubble where you're not supposed to feel depressed, you're not supposed to, you can't be depressed, you can't be anxious, you can't be this. And then he started breaking down to me like all of like the great people in the Bible who experienced these different like he was telling me about Elijah, right? And he was like, Elijah went through a moment of depression where he wanted to like die.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He like got caught, like the guy who just called fire from heaven, like he wanted to die. Like he got depressed and wanted to die. Yeah. And then you can speak about even Jesus in Gethsemane, the anxiousness he felt, like all the different waves of emotions, and it's just like he was like, yo, it's okay. And it wasn't until I verbally out loud said to him, like, yo, I think I'm going through depression.
No, yeah.
And it was like, it felt so freeing because it was like the first time you actually, or I think I have very bad anxiousness, man. This is what I'm feeling right now. And it wasn't until then that it really, I was able to break past that barrier. So my question to you would be like, do you think that the church has done mental health an injustice?
I would say that what has really happened is we've done well to hold on to God without being honest about who we are capable of being. Not so much just mental health. I think it's this idea. So I grew up in the South. I grew up in Texas. I grew up in a place where culturally everybody were Christian. Everybody's Christian culturally. But in relationship, none of them would really say that they gonna follow scripture, the Lord, like that. Like I grew up in a place where it was like, hey, we riding by the church, turn your music down. Hey, we pulling up to the church, stop cussing. Yeah. Hey, we gonna be at the church for a while, so don't drink till you get home.
I still do that.
Like I'm saying,
turn the music down.
Turn the music down. It's like, y'all, man, I can't do it. I gotta turn the music down.
What y'all talking about,
but there are cultural norms within the black community that we have adopted that have given us this idea of what it means to be reverential. But even though I can be respectful, respect doesn't equal devotion. Right. And I think we've done a disservice to be honest with ourselves about how devotion should look and what we really are. I think that has played a huge part in how we are unwilling to be honest about the things that we deal with when it comes to mental health. Because we are shallow in how we are willing to fully and truly assess ourselves.
That's great. This is. So, I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, we took this that way.
I'm looking giving our points that we supposed to.
Yeah, I'm like, we
dang.
took it
Oh,
down.
I'm sorry,
I'm
y'all.
sorry,
I'm
bro.
sorry.
No, we
It's all
sorry.
good. No, you
we
good.
got the song. We got the. It's like, all right, cool.
That's what we supposed to be
Let's reel it
focused on
back in, right?
Okay, wait. I gotta ask this question.
All right,
Yeah.
go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
Okay, so
Mike.
for the people that are experiencing something very similar to what you are, I want to know what you would say to them. So, for example, right, they are doing the things. They're in alignment with God. They're praying, fasting, in church, all these things, and then life still happens.
Yeah.
You know, like, what can you say to kind of like reel that person back in? Like, life is still going to happen.
Yeah.
Even though you're doing the things.
Yeah. So my phrase to people, I'm like, life be lifing. Like, it will life you, and it won't let you go for a while. My conviction is not to reel them in, not that that's just horrible language.
Yeah.
But my conviction would be more so to give them space to be honest about where they are and dialogue about why they want to be there versus somewhere else.
Okay.
My option is, so scripture talks about when you see a person who falls, to go to them and pull them up, being careful lest you fall. There's this place where I recognize struggle with hardship doesn't always equal sin. But at the same time, sometimes you're prone to do that. So you got to be mindful of it. But what I've experienced in my own journey with other people is when life be lifing, people are struggling, but they're not necessarily sinful. And our fear, this is my own pet peeve, it's my soapbox, so I'm not putting this on y'all, but I, Tedashii, personally believe we live in a culture, in a place where we are more about correcting bad behavior than we are about connecting with Christ. We want to correct bad behavior because we believe if we get rid of bad behavior, then we're somehow closer to God. When in reality, the confession, the stance of faith is what puts us in relationship with him. And once you're in relationship with him, you don't lose that relationship.
Right.
If anything, what happens is that relationship gets tested. Struggle comes.
Wow.
Hardships come.
Facts, it says
It will get tested. So I don't fret over it being tested and you struggling within it. I fret when I see you quit. That's when I'm like, well, he ain't quit on you. You don't have to quit.
Yeah.
And that's where I was. I was willing to quit. I wanted to quit because life gave me, it threw a curveball I wasn't ready for. I expected a king's ransom. I was like, man, I'm going to die. All my kids going to be with me. My grandkids going to be around the bed. I'm going to be on my back looking up at the skies going, God, open the heavens. I'm ready. And I'm like, that ain't how it's going at all. Like, that ain't how it's going. And so I'm like, man, God, you took away the thing I wanted, I deserved. And in reality, it's like, nah, that curveball hit me in a place I wasn't ready for.
Right.
So I'm struggling. And in my struggle, people were willing to walk with me in my struggle versus trying to correct my struggle.
Right.
And
That's so
that is where I believe
That's so good.
the truth is starting to become evident for people when they're able to be very truly themselves. Like, man, I feel depressed. Can I be honest right now? I just feel depressed. And being able to say that, communicate that, and let someone dialogue with you for where you really are.
Right.
Versus trying to communicate based on an idea of expected position. Well, I feel depressed, but I know God got me. And you kind of throw away that other thing with trying to, wash it away with something spiritual. And it's like, nah, that's not where you really are. So I'm okay with people struggling. I actually want to see people struggle versus pretending that they're not, because it just delays the healing. It prolongs the inevitable. And then if you stay wallowing in the struggle too long without any light shined upon it, then you are more prone to find sinful ways to cope with the struggle. So I'm more about, man, let me just walk with you in the struggle. It's okay that you struggle. And I'm the person, I'm like, you can come up to me and tell me anything, and I'm going to be like, word, it's earth. We all human. Like, I get that. Versus being like, oh man, that's horrible. Like, we can't deal with this. Like, we got to do something. Like, you human. I get it. We gonna struggle.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are certain moments where I'm like, I've literally been like, ooh, that's not okay. So I'm gonna call the cops. Like, that's not okay. Like, that's not okay. You're not gonna let that slide. But there are other moments where it's like, no, I'm here with you.
Right.
No, it's not gross to me. Give me a hug. I love you. And watching people struggle and then move from struggle to striving. And to move from striving to feeling like they're thriving. I'm like, that. I've seen God do that a bunch. I'm okay with struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Woo. So listen, I got a special question, right?
Okay.
Special.
being a founder of pretty much CHH.
Wow.
Right?
All right.
One of the founders, one of the pioneers, one of the legends, right? A lot of the guys you came into the industry with or, connected with to create the foundation, so to speak. A lot of them kind of branched off and got into the executive bag. Like McCray got Reach, Truth got Mixed Bag. Who else got, KB got his label. Derek Minor got his, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Is that a pursuit that you feel like you're called into as well?
I would say yes, but not necessarily with music in and of itself.
Okay.
So I feel like I had this great moment with the Lord last year, and God kind of gave me this epiphany, and I realized I feel like my purpose is to be a creative communicator. And for me, being a creative communicator is being a person who can convey an idea or perspective, but doing so through the creativity that God's blessed me with. So music, writing, singing, public speaking, podcasting, acting, whatever. Like, that's where my world is in creativity. So I'm actually praying and processing now how to flesh out what it looks like to do more creative content and see myself partnering or bringing about avenues for other people to come in and do what they do.
Amazing. I know you said you was relaunching a podcast.
I am.
Tell people a little bit about that.
So the podcast is called The Dash, and it's my name is Tedashii. It's 8 letters, and the middle 4 letters is actually the word dash. Yeah. And so I tell people I have a dash in the middle of my name because those letters literally spell that. So it was a nickname that I had for a while, so I named the podcast The Dash. Because of that, because of the whole idea of, between the birth date and the death date, there's the dash, but also because the symbolism for the podcast is Morse code, it's dots and dashes. And so T dot dash, I just was being creative in that way. So The Dash is a podcast that wants to help people think critically about themselves and the world around them. That's the whole reason I wanted the podcast, because I wanted to start to challenge people or encourage people to start thinking critically about themselves, about the world around them, how they will engage that world for who God made them. And so I want to see people start to be more critical in their thinking versus just impulsive and just off the cuff, off the fly, let's just go say something and do something now because we can. It's no, think critically about it, process it, consider how you would approach it if you took time to do so. What does Christ say? Measure twice and cut once. So it's I want you to think that way. So
would you consider opening it up to others to either be a part or to kind of even in the live perspective to be able to chime in?
Yes, totally. Yeah. I'm working through trying to figure out the format now. So my background, another thing that I started doing was hosting radio shows. And so my background is I did radio for a while, and I'm tempted to always want to turn the podcast into a radio show and do it like a morning show format, but I'm chill, it's just a podcast. You ain't got to do all that. But yeah, there is a desire to have more engagement and opening it up more. So
I think that'll be great.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah,
for sure.
I love that.
Also, you mentioned something about acting.
Yeah.
Tell me, what short films?
All of it. So I started when I was in college, and after football ended and I started doing music, I felt this tug on my heart to go out to LA and act. And I wanted to pursue it, so I went out there and stayed with my cousin, and he's older. He's like an uncle. I went to go stay with him. And I learned real quick that my 19-year-old naive little self was not ready for the world of LA. I was like, yo, I'm about to go out here and get swallowed up out here, boy. It's crazy. So I took my butt right back to Texas and went and got a job and was like, I'm gonna see what happens later with that.
Okay.
But honestly, I could never shake it, man. I've always done stage plays. I've always tried to be creative with. Sho Baraka is a filmmaker and a creative with video and everything else. So I've always been a part of stuff he's done. Okay. And I've just worked with different people and being creative with visuals and with film. So I stepped into voice acting. So I do commercials and animation and stuff like that. And then, what'd you say?
What type of animation?
Any kind. I like doing voices, cartoons, young, older, Adult Swim type stuff.
Interesting.
So I started doing that. I started doing commercials. I just booked one thing for an animation thing. And then I can't say who it is yet. Sorry.
I'm about to say,
No, don't let it out.
No, it's the.
I love anime. I love anime, so I don't know if you know.
Not anime,
Okay.
just animation.
Animation, okay.
Children's stuff. So I did that, but I'm working on getting, like I just read for an Adidas commercial and some other stuff like that. Like that's my joy, is to use my voice in that way. But then starting to do acting stuff too. So I auditioned for different plays. Like I auditioned for The Wiz when they came to town. I auditioned for this one stage play that was here for like maybe a month. Like I'm trying to get active in the acting, on camera, on stage, all of it.
I gotta see that, man.
I'm about to
as soon as
say-
you said that, I
I was about to say, hold on. What character were you?
Just go in there.
Well, I auditioned for The Lion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's
You
up.
ever thought
man.
about doing what's the play my wife was a stage manager of? She gonna kill me because I'm saying
Your wife was a stage manager for a theater?
She's a writer, director, producer, but she's been in her stage.
Black Nativity, right?
Black Nativity.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Have you ever seen it?
No, I just heard about it.
Oh my God, it's dope.
Yeah.
And every time I went back to watch it,
Yeah.
it's like year after year, it's just so
Oh,
amazing.
we're gonna have to talk, bro. I love
amazing.
I love theater. I like acting in general, but I love
person,
theater. I love musicals. I know that's weird. I don't like all musicals.
But it's a musical too.
I don't
But
like
it's super
all
dope.
musicals. I can't lie. Some of them I'm just
It's not
like,
like-
guys, y'all are working the formula too hard. This is not good music. So I care about music. Some musicals don't have good music.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They have technically sound music, but they don't have good music. And so, yeah, I struggle. But I'm the person, like, I watch Disney stuff because I like musicals. So, Encanto and Moana and Coco.
Yeah, I
I
love
cried
that.
on
Oh,
Coco.
Coco. Oh,
did?
man.
Mama Coco?
Coco will get you.
I told my kids when that joint was done, I was like, you put me on the ofrenda. You make sure I got a photo on the ofrenda so they know who I am. I was, boy.
Coco was tough.
Coco was
That was good.
Coco was tough.
Hey, listen, if y'all
pulled.
out there listening ain't watch Coco, you gotta
watch
watch
it.
this. I'm biracial. My dad's Samoan. My mom's black. Being Polynesian, Moana is like awesome to watch.
Moana was super dope.
Oh, it's so good.
I like Encanto the best though.
But I don't know. Coco's my favorite.
I don't know. Encanto.
I know.
Come on.
I feel like nothing will touch
that's so
Encanto
hard.
because of the background, like the message from it.
Encanto
true.
went,
This is true.
went different.
Yeah,
For real. I'm not
and
taking
all
away
the
from
songs.
it. Yeah.
The songs
song
do go
slap.
hard.
Man,
Nobody
all the
talk
songs.
about
We
Bruno,
don't
that
talk
was
about
my favorite one.
No.
They got
That's it.
kids,
That's crazy.
So they, you know.
That's it.
That's crazy.
Well, my wife's mentor, she's Broadway now.
DJ
Word?
be acting too.
Oh, we're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk. Like
This guy is a really good actor.
bro.
straight.
Come on, DJ.
I remember watching him act for the first time, and when he went off scene and came back, like I was pissed. I was like, "Yo, y'all brought him back out again." I forgot it was my homie. Like,
Yo,
I was like,
man,
"Y'all
you
brought
so
this man
This
back
character
out
was hard
again."
because it was against
It was good,
against who I am.
Yeah.
But I ain't gonna lie, I had to really to dive in a little bit more. I ain't gonna lie, I went back to listening to like music and stuff.
Bone
Yeah,
Thugs.
I ain't mad at you. Boom, 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 boom.
I had to
But
go.
he's really good at being serious in funny moments anyway. Like DJ
love
could
that.
be telling us something and keep me playing, but his face is so straight. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Dead
is he
face.
playing or not? Because he about to make me mad. Like, I don't know what he's doing.
Make me mad.
Dead
What you talking
vibe,
about,
man.
man?
I love that.
Listen, man. The new single,
Yeah.
New single.
the MMA Freestyle.
Yeah.
What was the motivation behind that? What was the inspiration behind that song?
So I was in the studio and I was talking to the A&Rs. I was talking to Dre and Alex, and I was like, man, I just want a record where I could just go. I don't want to be so hip hop 50. Like we learning about hip hop. Like
Yeah,
hip hop started with break beats, and then pretty soon the DJs and the B-boys allowed MCs to get involved.
Yeah.
I tell people now, like, yo, MCs were not the stars. It was the DJ. The DJ
Absolutely.
was the one that was the star.
Say that again.
And so when the MCs started to take, come on, look at it. You're like, I'm gonna let y'all know.
Say that one more time.
But when the MCs started to kind of get the shine, it was like, okay, well then how are y'all gonna keep us?
Yeah.
And when they started doing rhymes to move the party a certain way, it was like, oh, that's cool, that's dope. I like that. But then pretty soon it became about lyricism and how you could express yourself. But for hip hop to go mainstream, like I was just watching this interview with the Sugar Hill Gang, and they was talking about how the people who helped put that song together were like, yo, we need to do a format that works for radio, like rock and roll music does, with a chorus and a verse and a bridge. Like, we got to have a for real format. We just can't be up here saying stuff. So when they did that, it was like revolutionary.
Changed the game.
And so, but now, because music is so fluid, and honestly, I do feel like we're in a place of flux with music right now, because it's kind of trying to find a new identity. It's morphing again. Yeah. But formats don't matter as much right now. Like, you don't have to have hook, verse out, like, or bridge out. Like, you don't have to do that. Yeah. So I was like, I want to break the mold, do something different, have a different format, and just go. And just try to rap. And so I sat down and started writing, and before long, I realized it was like over 2 minutes, and I was like, dang, I've been writing for a minute. This is crazy. Like, that the song had ended up being like close to 3 minutes, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. I just was writing my heart. But I didn't grow up on New York music. That came later in life. Yeah. But I've always been a fan of lyricism, a fan of people being able to articulate a point. Nobody really knows this. The guy who actually, the first time I ever like got introduced to hip hop was watching LL Cool J, and I was like, man, his energy alone. Crazy. I was like, this dude is amazing. Absolutely. But then when I started listening to hip hop, it was West Coast music, Houston music, and then a friend of mine gave me a Wu-Tang CD. And I was like,
crazy from there.
Oh my God. And they were saying stuff that was, you had to pay attention. Yeah. Like, Southern music was like, as long as you catch the vibe, you good. But the East Coast music, you had to pay attention. They was saying stuff. So I was like, okay, I love this. So yeah, I just wanted to bring some elements of all of what I got influenced with growing up into the song.
Facts. Listen, man.
We heard it, so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We got people. It's going crazy on social media, boy.
Yeah. I'm excited. So listen. We about to do something real special. I don't think we've ever done this before, right, DJ?
Nah.
I'm speaking. We got the legend in the building.
We do.
I don't think we've ever seen an artist perform live on the show.
Oh. Never.
We've never had somebody perform a single live. We've never had that.
All right. So I could be the first?
You want to be the first?
I could be the first?
Yeah. Man, I would say let's do it. Might as well.
I'm with that.
Listen, man, we got an exclusive moment that's happening right here for the very first time. First of all, we got Tedashii in the building. And, yo, we about to go live right now with the new track, the MMA Freestyle. Look, man, I'm super excited to see this. DJ, man, yo, set my mans up, man. Okay.
Winning same, broken but I'm feeling straight. Back and forth across the map, I take off early, getting late. My home paid the cost and fell apart, I had to renovate. Devil busy, got me fighting for my life like MMA. Went through hard time, but something always on my dinner plate. God came in my life and told me move and let me demonstrate. Now I'm back by popular demand, just like a Senate race. Devil busy, got me fighting for my life like MMA. Know that, pocket watching, know that. Put the beat on, I snap in a flash and black like Kodak. OD get a toe tag. DOA, no DEA. If NDA, shut your trap. DJ Monte told me walk it out so I don't hold back. I bought my faith like the clergy. Do church but ain't churchy. They judge me, but I'm busy sipping this mercy. Some people stay thirsty. Cut them like surgery. Moving this work, see the Grammy for certain. Built for this like an activist. Even haters try to snap a pic. Holy roller still be capping quick. I know he chose me, you ain't have to pick. God is good, life is great, till it ain't, hell it come. When it's heaven, throw my hands up, I'm like great, I'm winning for real. Trying to outrun all the skill, yeah. No way that I quit, nah, that ain't the way that I'm built. Harris County had me locked down way before the COVID lockdown, nothing new to me, I know that I'm free. Back up on my feet, get with pound and leave. Real ones stay down and invite you around, even without all the glory. That's when it hit me, some never been with me, but all of them say that they for me. But my girl clutch, with a clutch, fans hit like it's payday. With lemon pepper wings from JJ's, who might hit a pay with just like it's a birthday. Ooh. I'm dropping gems on the world, giving free game like Google search. Unashamed, put in work, my girl don't twerk, but make money bounce. In London, we gaining some pounds. Stack bread, don't gain an ounce. King, cause he gave me a crown. We came to shut it all down. God on my side, he been at the wheel. Inheriting blessings, I've been in his will. Answer the call, you know that I will. We making hits and they slapping like wheel. Seasons changing, come, but I'm still hot. He's insane, some would say he crazy, but I'm not. Chasing what he gave me, this a legend in the making. I know when it's all said and done, we'll be at the top. You ain't know. You ain't know, back and forth across the map. I take off early, getting late. My home paid the cost and fell apart. I had to renovate. Devil busy, got me fighting for my life like MMA.
Man, you heard it live. You heard it live right here, man. Tedashii, MMA Freestyle, man. Live in Heartbreak. Man, you know the vibes. We live and we certified, baby. I'm super excited, man. Listen.
Hey.
Tell them when that's dropping, my brother.
MMA dropping tonight at midnight. Go get that. MMA Freestyle by your boy. Let's go.
MMA Freestyle, baby. Make sure y'all get that right now. Tonight, baby. Tonight. Yes, sir. Listen, man. Y'all know.
It's crazy.
Tough. That's tough.
That's crazy.
Tough. I'm super excited, yo. Woo, that really happened.
That really happened. Y'all, man, for tuning in, man.
Listen, man. Listen, let them know where they can find the MMA Freestyle. Let them know where they can follow you, all that great stuff, man.
Look, MMA Freestyle by yours truly dropping tonight everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, wherever you want to get your music. Find it. Go get it. It's there. Find the song, add it to your stories, throw it in on your reels, throw it in on your TikTok joints, man. Listen, it's going down. This joint is so fun. It's one of my favorite songs I've done in a long time.
Hey.
I'm honored to be able to do it here live with y'all.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? It's a moment. It's a moment.
Mama, we made it. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Look, man, I just want to tell you, we're going to wrap up and we're going to get you home to the family, man. But I just want to tell you right now, man, thank you. We appreciate you. Not only for just coming today, but thank you for breaking down those walls. Like, if you really think about it, like Fresh Leftovers wouldn't exist without y'all.
Wow.
Like, literally. Like we're able to have a career doing this because years ago, y'all was like, yo, we not gonna stop.
Yeah.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
That's real, bro.
And I'm very, very appreciative, man. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, bro.
And man, keep motivating, keep doing your thing. Nothing but blessing and prosperities to you, bro.
Thank you.
Feel
bro.
free to pull. You enjoyed yourself?
I enjoyed myself. This is great.
Hey, man.
Listen, I got to sit in a room with people who believe what I believe and talk about stuff that's real about life. Because life be life, and I'm telling you.
Life be life.
Life be life.
That's a shirt.
So
You got
to
a shirt
get real
for
with
that.
it.
Big facts.
You got a shirt for that? Life be life?
I need one, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, that's my thing,
Why
bro.
you
Life
playing?
be lifing, bro.
Big facts.
Yeah,
Big
I'm gonna have to
facts.
get that shirt made.
I'm telling you.
Listen,
Life be
the next project you got coming out, man, you got to spin the block and pull back up.
Oh,
on
for
us,
sure.
man,
For
sure.
sure.
For real, man.
For
Yes, sir.
sure.
Yes, sir.
Anybody listening, man, tell whoever you know, tune in, man. If you're an artist and like reach out, like the setup is beautiful in here. Y'all killing
Appreciate
it.
it.
The show is fun, super fun. The fact that y'all all really friends for real make it even better. Like it's super dope. Y'all family. Like it made it fun for real. So I loved it. I can't wait to come back.
I didn't know people didn't click up together like friends with it.
Bro, it's crazy
like
how
that.
people come in the studio and do it and then be like, all right, see y'all tomorrow at work. It's like, what? Y'all not friends? Y'all don't talk after this?
Now, Legacy called me too much.
Oh my God.
I get a text from Selena daily.
What, girl? What?
Right, dang, I said I don't care.
Do what you want. Just submit the song, man.
Right.
Put the lyrics up on it too, man. Whatever it costs, we got you.
Shout out Selena over in the corner.
Hey.
Okay. Yes, sir. You heard it live and direct, man. Tedashii, Fresh Leftovers Radio Show, MMA Freestyle. Make sure y'all go ahead and tap in and download that. Stream it everywhere, man. We gonna have to. Let's make sure this one hit number one. Man. We got a couple of the billboards on there. Let's make sure this one hit the top of the charts again, man. Y'all show them that Flow Mafia love all day, man. And once again, brother, it was a pleasure to have you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank y'all so much for real.
Appreciate you.
Blessing for real to be here. Thank you.
Legend.
Man, you know the vibes. FlowRadioShow.com. You know the vibes. We live and certified, baby. Y'all tap in. Okay.